What's up everyone, welcome to this POV review by AutoTopNL. My name is Max and today we're taking a look at this BMW 640i xDrive. So we're at the Autobahn, this is where I'm going to record the review, and we're going to do it a bit differently today because I'm going to focus solely, well not solely, I'll tell you some stuff about this car and this spec of course, but it's going to be mainly about the magnificent BMW 3-liter inline-6 B58 engine, because this is the last car we had to drive all available BMW models with that B58 engine, and we love it. So in this review I'll tell you why I love it and some more information on that engine. So let's start by taking a look at the engine itself. As you know, there's not that much to see anymore these days, but there it is, BMW twin power turbo. And well, we drove, let's list all the cars we drove with this engine. So that's BMW M140i, M240i, both coupe and convertible, 340i, 440i, 540i, 640i, 740i, X3 M40i. So those cars all have this engine, we all drove them, and there are a couple of different versions of this engine with 326 horsepower, for instance in a 340 or a 440i, with 340 horsepower in an M140i, in a 540i, 640i, and a 360 horsepower version that's called the B58 B30 M5, which is in the X3 M40i and also available if you get the power and sound kit on a 340i or a 4 or a 540i. So that's the deal with this engine. Let's take a look at this spec. So we've got a white one, not the biggest fan of that, with a shadow light back, so that means all those trims around the windows and the mirror caps, or at least this part of the mirror caps, is black. We've got 20-inch wheels with an M Sport braking, so we've got an M aerodynamic pack. All that inlay in the bumper is black as well. We've got an M logo and a little black piece in there as well. And of course that spoiler on the rear, which is retractable and not that pretty in my opinion. I really do like these rear lights actually. So we've got an adjustable rear seat, or at least the back piece is, the rest of it isn't. Black leather, Bauer & Wilkins diamond audio, and an electric tow bar. So let's get that out, please. Oh, it's very slow. There it is. Hello, my friend. So I always really like this because, you know, a car with one of those knobs on the back really looks ugly. Okay, let's take a look inside. So not that exciting in here spec wise. So we've got this silver inlay, which I don't like, and all black leather, and apart from that we've got an M Sport steering wheel, but that's about it. Nothing really special. No, not really. Little cushions on the back headrest. Okay, so, oh man, it's cold. Let's start it up. So as this review is mostly about that engine and about how it performs, how it sounds, how it drives on the Autobahn, if you want to see a video about the 6 GT, I recommend watching this video of the 630i first and then coming back to this one for some more in-depth information about this engine. So let's go for a drive on the Autobahn. All right, let's start with launch control. So gearbox in sport, this in sport, this in sport. And there we go. That is actually quite quick. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. 5.3 in this one with xDrive. 5.4 if you don't have xDrive. So pedal to the metal. Let's see how far we can go. Got a little bit of wind noise on my left side here. So that's 230 already. 240. And that's 250, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, that stop speed, this engine is incredible. The way it delivers its power, especially combined with this ZF 8-speed gearbox, is just, it's so nice, and you really don't need a V8 for the power delivery. Of course, if you want the sound, yeah, it doesn't sound as good as a V8 would, but the power is just so nice. And this engine, the B58 B30 M0, this is the new version of that engine. So it actually has 340 horsepower, 450 newton meters, and it used to have 500 newton meters. But this new version with a little less torque, that torque is actually available from 1300 RPM instead of 1500. So it performs much better at low RPM. Of course, it replaces the old N55 engine, and this engine delivers 20% more boost than that old engine did. It's still a 3-liter inline 6 with one twin scroll turbo and double Vanos, so that means variable valve timing, and it also has variable valve lift, Valvetronic it's called. Let me just reset those dials because Martijn just did an Autobahn POV and he likes these dials better. But for you guys to be able to see how fast we're going, I'll put it on this one. So what do you think? Do you like this one better, or do you like the old sort of analog style dial better? Let me know. The thing about this engine is that it works in every car they put it in. I mean, as I said, we've driven it in about 9 different cars, or 8 different cars if you don't count the M240 convertible. No, you should, because you get more sound that way. So 9 different cars, and it works beautifully in all those types of cars. The only car that doesn't have this engine yet is the BMW X5 and X6 lineup. They still have that old engine, the 35i. But since there's a new one coming, I think next year or something, that will also have this engine. And there's also coming a high performance version of this engine, the S58, and that should be arriving early 2019. Which should be awesome. So one of the nicest things about this engine is that although it's a turbocharged engine, it just keeps going right up until it shifts, right up until that rev limiter. And you know, with a lot of turbocharged engines, you get the feeling that at the top of the range, I'm going to slow down a bit because this wind noise is way too loud. I don't know if something's wrong with this window, but I think it's better now. But as I was saying, it just keeps going right to the top of the rev range. It just keeps feeling very powerful, and with a lot of turbocharged engines, it starts to feel a bit asthmatic at the top of the range. Like, you know, it's making those revs, it's doing those revs, but it's not really liking it, and it's not really developing any power anymore. But this just feels so punchy right up until that top end. I mean, in this car, you know, this has a lot of sound deadening. I mean, they want this car to be comfortable and quiet. but an X3 M40i, for instance, or an M140i, they sound really good. They sound raspy. The X3 M40i even has little pops and crackles, which are quite loud. So it's possible to get this engine to sound really, really good. And especially if you have a 340i, for instance, and you get that power and sound kit. I mean, 360 horsepower and that M performance exhaust, that's a great combination. I think this engine is actually better than the S55 engine that you find in an M3 or an M4. Another thing I really love about this engine is the versatility. As I said, you can put it in any car, from a 1 series right up until a 7 series. In the 740i, we just absolutely loved it, and were quite impressed with, you know, how that engine still was able to move that big car. So in this car, it's also about comfort. If we put everything back, put this in Comfort Plus, we've got executive drive on this car, so that means it has air suspension at the front as well. It has air suspension at the back as standard, like a 5 Series Touring has as well. But this one has it at the front, and it has anti-roll systems or stabilizing systems. And it also lowers the suspension when you travel at higher speeds by 10 millimeters to make it more stable, more aerodynamic, and that little spoiler pops out as well. But like this, in comfort mode, that engine quiets down. It's just a really nice engine to cruise with, because, you know, it's quite quiet, but you still have that power. Just a little tap on the throttle, it shifts down twice and it just goes again. And if you put it in a 1 series, that M140i is super exciting. That engine feels much more aggressive, and it's much more present as well. So you get more sound, you get more aggression. So that's what I love about this engine, guys. I hope you agree with me. If you do, let us know. If you don't, let us know as well. This engine also topped the Ward's Engine of the Year list for 2017. So they are doing something very, very well over at BMW with this engine. So that's it for this review. I hope you liked it, and you can subscribe by clicking on the little icon in the bottom right corner. And you can follow us on social media. Just search for AutoTopNL and you will find us. Thanks guys. Bye. See you at the next one.